So today is day 2 of linear inequalities, and I'm also going to throw in some reviews so you can start working on that too. So these next 2 problems I'm going to give you, you don't have any place in your notes, I realize that. And what I want to do is, this is a really good thing to prep for a standardized test that I'm going to show you next. But it goes right along with linear inequality, so I want to show you. So it says, which graph represents y is greater than or equal to negative x? So it's asking, it gives us 4 graphs. Okay, and I'm going to write the inequality down here again. Y is greater than or equal to negative x, so I can move it down a little. And we're going to look at these, and we're going to analyze very quickly which ones work or not. Well, first of all, look to see all the graphs are the same. So that, as far as which direction they're going, they all have a negative slope. They go through the point 0, 0, which is what this inequality does. Then notice this is greater than or equal to, so it's equal to. That means it's a solid line. So which 2 do we eliminate right away? These 2. See how they're dashed? Those are eliminated right away. So now let's look at these solid lines. And this is just deciding, see how one is shaded above and one is shaded below. So let's use y is greater than. Where is y bigger? So put my fingers up on this one. Y is shaded where it's smaller. Here, y is shaded where it's bigger. So it's going to be this graph right here. I didn't have to do anything else, but I can kind of process of elimination, which is really important when you're taking the ACT test and you have only 60 minutes to do 60 questions, which some of you will start taking in high school pretty soon. Okay, let's look at another one. Which graph represents 3x minus 2y is less than 8? What? How am I supposed to do that? This is in standard form. So the first thing I have to do with this one is I have to rewrite it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to take this inequality, I'm going to rewrite it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract by 3x. So I get negative 2y is less than negative 3x plus 8. Now I'm going to divide by a negative 2. Did you hear what I just said? That's right. Divide by a negative. Hope I didn't hurt your ears. So when I divide by a negative, my inequality sign switches to go the opposite direction. Okay. Now, because they gave us graphs, we could have already known in some ways that it's going to switch. No, we wouldn't have. So this is really important that you go through and get it, and that you pay attention when you divide by a negative. So we have it in standard in slope-intercept form. Okay. So I'm going to write it in slope-intercept form again on that paper. Hold on a second. So I've rewritten that equation onto a little piece of paper so I can have it right here on the graphs with me. So y is greater than. Look at that real quickly. If you want to pause it. Figure out which ones can I eliminate right away. Hopefully you notice you can eliminate these 2. These are solid lines. This is a dashed line. Okay, so I can eliminate these 2 right away. Now I'm looking at these 2 right here. This says y is greater than. So where is it y is greater than shaded? Y is greater than. So put your fingers on. Here y is smaller. Here y is bigger. So I'm going to want this one because y is greater than 3/2 x minus 4. So I just wanted to point that out to you. It's really helpful on ACT, and you might see it some other places too. Okay, now I'm looking at your review, which hopefully you've already started on. And I'm just going to go through a couple things with you, and then remember you have opportunities to come in and see us during help sessions. So if there are things you have questions on that we don't get answered in class, make sure you come in and ask us. So we will have one more day of review in class, but there are other times you can come and get help from us. So formulas, first off. Hopefully you've written all those in. Slope formula, as you know my opinion on that, so write down whatever you choose for a slope formula. Slope-intercept form, you need to know standard point slope. I've been telling you that. Hopefully you actually made some flashcards to remember it. A couple other things that I would probably add into that as far as notes, and I'm just going to put some notes here. If I have x equals a number or y equals a number, remember on this one that the graph crosses that axis and only that axis. Okay, so this goes both ways. If I'm given the equation y equals numbers or y equals a number, x or y, I know that it's going to cross. This one I'm going to cross the axis, so I'm going to have a vertical line. This one's going to cross the y-axis, so I'm going to have a horizontal line. So it also goes the other way. If I'm given a graph that only crosses the y-axis, I know this is going to be my graph. We also want to remember that vertical line is undefined. And what this is telling us is that if I have a vertical line, my slope is undefined. If I have a horizontal line, my slope is 0. Vertical line is undefined. Then the other line, the horizontal line would, of course, be 0. So we're going to add some more notes possibly as we go through and do this. Here's find the slope given the graph. So this is where you're going to pick 2 points, and we are very nice about picking your points. If when you're taking the test you can't figure out where those whole numbers are and we're asking you to find slope, please let us know. We can help you find those whole number points, because what we're testing you on is finding out what slope is. So, okay, so I already gave you some notes on some of these, but remember, if I go up, it's positive. If I go down, it's negative. If I go to the left, negative. To the right, positive. Okay. Then finding slope given 2 points. Okay, we've talked about that. Graph using slope and y-intercept. We've been practicing that. This one is in slope-intercept form, but look at these two. You're going to have to get them into slope-intercept form on this. So make sure you get them into slope-intercept form. Graph using the x-intercepts. So remember on this, if I'm going back to my notes, x and y-intercept. And the reason I put notes all in one spot, you can't use these for the test, but if I were you right before I took the test, I would look at this section, and honestly, if I were taking the test, the first thing I would do is write slope-intercept form on there. And I would write point-slope form on there. Before I even wrote my name, I would write that information on my test. So the other thing I just came across was x and y-intercepts. If I'm going to graph using x-intercepts and y-intercept. Okay, if I want to find my x-intercept, I'm going to plug 0 in for y. Here, if I want my y-intercept, I'm going to plug 0 in for x. And hopefully you remember this, but just wanted to make sure. Okay, and if I were doing this, I would set up an x-intercept right here. Whoops. And I would put a y-intercept right here. So then I could show my work and do it right there. That would be me personally. Okay. Graph the following inequality, linear equations, that's horizontal and vertical. I've talked about that. Write linear equations given point and slope. Okay, and then you're going to be given 2 equations. And notice what it does. Point, slope, slope, intercept. And then, it doesn't ask for it, but write standard form. Okay. So do that one too. Go point, slope, slope, intercept, then write standard form also. Point, slope, slope, intercept, standard form. Okay. So you're going to want to do that. If you haven't already, I know we didn't require it for the notes, but it's going to be on the test. Same thing here. Make sure you find that standard form. Standard form. Okay. So find those forms too. Write equations in slope-intercept form given a graph. I don't even think we make you... we do this, but I don't think we don't on this test. We do, given a graph, write the equation. I decided not to do point slope. So slope-intercept form using tables. Write an equation in slope-intercept form, point slope. Either way, this is going to be helpful. Given tables. So do practice these, mainly this right here, and that's because we use that in, in these types of problems back here. Okay, in these types of problems back here. So this is a good thing to practice. That was one of the things that on the quiz some of you messed up on. Multiple representations. So it's going to ask you to do things here. Standard slope intercept. So see, they separated it out here. But on the test, it's going to be like what I showed you. We're going to ask for point slope, slope intercept in standard form. So this is just for practice. Not a bad thing to practice it again. Okay. Then we're going to graph using point slope form. Graph using point slope form. We will give it to you as an equation. We will give it to you like this. And if you want to practice some more of those, come to the help sessions or ask in class and we can make some more of those up if you want to practice some more. Point slope form to standard slope intercept. Oh, look, we give you another chance to practice those again. Obviously pretty important. And then the last page, piecewise functions. They give you all the, it's an interesting way they write it. Never have I seen this or this in there, but that's okay. Good practice. And on the test, it's going to be more like your homework. You're going to be given one like this, where you have just one boundary. One where you have 2 boundaries, and one where you have that funky two-part to the function, okay? So this is more like what would be on your test. And if you want to practice those, I can give you the answers to those in a help session or else in class. And then we have linear function match, and it just wants you to go through the different scenarios, given words, come up with the table, the equation, just like it did on the quiz, okay? So that's what's going to be on your test. Make sure you've done your homework and you're caught up. If you want some help, come in for the help sessions. And make sure during class you ask questions on whatever we're going to be having. So we have help sessions, we have one more day of class for review, and then we do take the test in 2 different parts. So looking over your old quiz would be a good one. I know that might be difficult. If you are struggling to find that, let me know and I'll help you figure out a way to do that. Good. So make sure you're reviewing for that test, and if you have any questions, you know where to find us. Thanks.